Hi, good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for jumping on. We'll give it about one more minute. My name's Michelle. I'm from SolarEdge. I'm the Director of Residential Marketing and Training. I've been in solar for about 14 years now. And so started on the sales side. And this was the time of year where I really wanted to kick it into gear on getting installs in before the end of the year. This time more than ever, right? We need to do that because of the tax credit expiring, homeowners wanting to get in by the end of the year. And so want to give some quick tips today. I'm hoping that, a couple of nuggets will help to really ignite, what we're doing in terms of what we can control in speeding up that solar journey. All right, so let's talk about reducing roadblocks, speeding up the solar journey. Some people in this time of year get kind of into the minutia of having so many deals in your pipeline and trying to close them out. And what I would love to talk about today is what are the steps that we can actually take our consultations to the next level so that we can actually get them over the finish line faster so we can get to the end of the year and get as much installed as possible. So I have a question for this team. Ones that we can control, ones that we can't control, doesn't matter, throw them out. What are some causes for delays in a solar project? There's a couple of big ones. What do we see? Okay, I see main panel upgrades coming through the Q&A. I see change orders. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, those are big ones. I mean, obviously, we have to rely on the utility. We have to rely on interconnection. Those can be delayed as well. But what are ones that we can control? I think that there are some circumstances where we can do a little bit better in our consultation and even our pre-consultation to be able to ensure that we close a bit faster and get that over the finish line a bit faster. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I want to go step by step. What are some steps within our control before consultation, during consultation, and after? So that's what we'll cover today in some bite-sized nuggets here, hoping to give you a little bit of inspiration. So before the consultation, what can we do to take our appointment to the next level? So it's hard to pre-prep a lot of the time before appointments, but if you can do it, it's going to pay dividends in your ability to be prepared for that meeting. And so I always loved to send email confirmations for the appointment, obviously, but giving that homeowner some homework. So requesting utility bill, maybe send them some information on your company, reviews, those types of things so that you can build that trust right away. Maybe it's your LinkedIn profile or something about you as a sales consultant. It looks like this team in general here on this call have been veterans in the industry. So being able to tell this customer, hey, you're getting multiple bids maybe. I'm a veteran in the industry. I know solar. Really helps pre-appointment to make sure that you're building that trust already. So the information and what to expect at the consultation. Write in that email confirmation for the appointment. So how many of us have gotten to the door, homeowner says, hey, I only have 20 minutes. I got to go pick up my kids from school. And we think, man, I could have avoided that, right? I could have given that duration of the appointment, the expectation setting, making sure that they had, 45 minutes to an hour at least. And so in this email confirmation, let them know the duration of the appointment. Let them know that you're going to do a quick site walk around. Look at their site, look at their roof, look at their main service panel. Let them know that you really need to have all decision makers present, just so that it's an efficient process. And honestly, you can let the homeowner know so that we're not wasting your additional time as well. We want this to be a really efficient process. And then tell the homeowner, please come with your questions. Want to make sure that we prioritize your questions first and foremost. So then day before or same day, I want to call this homeowner. Confirmation call or text, depending on what their communication style is that you've discovered they prefer. And what I love to do is let's start the discovery, if you're able, right there on that call. hey, Mr. Homeowner, just wanted to confirm the appointment, really looking forward to our meeting. As I discussed in our confirmation email previously, just want to make sure you have, 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to do a quick site walk around. While I have you, if you just have 1 minute, I want to really ensure that I'm targeting our consultation to what your needs are. So if I could ask, have you looked into solar previously? Are you getting multiple bids? Where are you at right now with the solar process? Do you have any top of mind questions or concerns that you want to make sure we cover during the appointment right from the beginning? And so these just quick 2 questions allow you to walk into the door with a fully prepared conversation. If you can get that before walking in and having that appointment confirmation call or text, it helps to keep that homeowner sticky. Additionally, if you call and ask those questions and you're letting that homeowner know, I'm going to do my homework before our consultation, that's going to limit cancellation on the homeowner side. Well, my sales rep's already doing homework for me. I need to make sure that I'm available for this consultation. So that's what I see before consultation. When we're talking about during consultation, how many of us do a site evaluation when we're there? I'm hoping that everybody says yes. I'm sure that the answer is yes. Um, and look, maybe we're selling over the phone. Let's do that too. If you're selling over the phone, do we get pictures of the site? The things I want to look for is the roof okay? Yeah, Darcy, check. Is the roof okay? Where do we think this equipment is going to go? So most of the time, in the garage, if that main service panel's in the garage, I love seeing that because that means real easy install, right? But make sure you can access the main service panel, take a look at that, how much backfeed is available, and we'll talk about that backfeed in just a second. I want to give this homeowner really clear guidance on the project timeline. Set those expectations properly. Make sure that they know what the exact next step is and what the time frame is for that. So, let's assume that you closed the deal. Mr. Customer, really appreciate your time today. We are all set up with the contract. Next step is I'm going to send a site tech over to do a site evaluation. We will need to schedule this right now if we can. Let's look at your calendar, try to get that done and a clear next step. And if you need anything additional from them beforehand, let them know what that is and exactly when you need it. And this is something that I learned the hard way is before you leave, definitely find out the best way to reach the customer if you haven't already. What is their preferred contact method? So how many of us have left a home? Let's say we were calling the husband of the pair, right? But not getting any response at all after the consultation. And you come to find out, well, it's actually the wife that is in charge of this project and she prefers a text. So make sure that you know the person you should be speaking to as the main point of contact and the preferred contact method. And better yet, what times of day work best for them to have these conversations. It's really, really going to help get to the next step. Okay, I mentioned main service panel. You guys know what this is. We all have one. If you needed a quick a brief of what a main service panel is, obviously this is the heart of the home's electricity. The 2 things we need to know within the main service panel is the bus bar rating and the main breaker rating. Now, most of these are going to be on a label on the door. How many of us have seen a very old main service panel? They don't often look like as nice as this one, right? And that label is completely torn to pieces. Know that on this main breaker here, that it actually also has a number. Most of the time, the main breaker rating and the bus bar rating is the same, but not all the time. So that's why we want to know what the bus bar rating and the main breaker rating is. And why do we need to know that? We want to find out if we need a main panel upgrade, right? Because that's going to delay our project. So we are looking for what we call the 120% rule. And this is easier than it looks because I know if you're like me, you hate math. I hate math, but this is actually very easy. And this will help you to set the right expectations with the homeowner that right off the bat, if you see that they're going to need a main service panel upgrade, you should build that into their contract. So that you're not having to do an additional change order. You're not having to set improper expectations and go back and say, hey, we need to do some electrical work. This will allow you to tell this homeowner, look, it looks like we might need a main panel upgrade. I'm going to let you know that that is $3,000. The good news is, and it's not always 3,000, but as an example, the good news is we are going to be able to fully upgrade your electrical panel, and it's going to allow us to have the proper space available in your main service panel for your solar system. So what's the 120% rule? This is the quick math. Bus bar rating times 1.2 minus main breaker rating. That is the amount of solar backfeed that you have to install on. So here's the huge question with SolarEdge in particular. How do I know what solar backfeed or breaker space I need for that solar system? And the good news is, and this is just a little quick chart to reference, but the good news is our inverters match pretty much with the amount of solar backfeed that you need. The most popular inverter that we have is a 7.6 inverter. So that's a 7.6 kW inverter. You can actually oversize that inverter up to a 15 kW solar system on the roof. So it gives you a good range, and that is our most popular. For those bigger systems, 11.4 is really the bread and butter for you there. But rest assured that if you have, let's say, under a 15 kW solar system you're putting on the homeowner's home, and that 120% rule tells you that you have 40 amps of space left, essentially that main service panel is a 200 amp panel, then you're going to avoid a main panel upgrade. So that's kind of the rule here. If these homeowners have older main service panels, 100 amps, 150 amps, just know here's a rule of thumb. If they have 100 amp, then if you're doing anything over like a 6 or 7 kW solar system, they're going to need a main panel upgrade. So I like to kind of think of it in terms of rules of thumb so that when I look at a main service panel, I can give that homeowner the right expectations. And so this is really, really, really going to help you and to avoid delays in your project if you can do this before a site survey. Okay, so what about after a consultation? So what about follow-up? So of course, we all do an email follow-up, right, after consultation, or maybe it's a text follow-up. So we want to recap the items you discussed, send them over some additional resources or materials to get them excited about their solar project, and give a clear next step and date. So maybe they didn't sign the contract yet. When are you going to follow up with them next in order to, continue with the conversation, sign the contract, talk to the other decision maker, maybe they need to talk to their tax advisor, set a clear date for follow-up. But this is the question I get very often. How often is too often to check in before the homeowner says, man, this guy is pushy? And to me, the rule is if you're giving something of value, it's less intrusive. So if you're just texting the homeowner, hey, wanted to follow up, ready to talk yet? Or hey, wanted to follow up, when can we meet? Something like that. It becomes tedious and a bit pushy for the homeowner, right? So instead, what if you sent them a local article about solar, a recent install? Hey, just installed your neighbor and I thought of you. Look at this cool picture of the installation. Right. And just even leave it there. You don't have to say, when can we meet next? The homeowner will know that you're looking to meet next. But just keep them so that you're top of mind to them. This is more of a situation where you're a partner and a consultant and not just a salesperson, right? Maybe your company was highlighted or you were highlighted in a customer review. Send that over to them. Hey, really excited about this customer review I got. Thought you would find it interesting. Um, if there's any updates on installation timelines, make sure that you set those urgency parameters. Make it not vague. It has to have actual dates associated with it whenever you can. Send them reminders on open tasks or homework and reiterate to them, hey, this is an open task. We can't proceed until this is finished. Can you please have this to me by tomorrow? Make sure it's a set standard. What you'll find, and I think that this team probably knows, is that homeowners like to be guided and need it a lot of the time, but they actually enjoy some guidance. And if you can give that to them in clear direction, they'll feel more comfortable about the whole project. So those are the tips that I have for consideration when we're ending out our year this year for getting our solar projects through the pipeline. And I just want to remind you that SolarEdge does quite a few things to avoid project delays as well. So if you haven't yet looked at our battery solutions, we have really every solution to fit any homeowner's need, including a home rate saver solution, which is a self-consumption only battery. So maybe that homeowner doesn't need backup. This self-consumption only battery provides a faster installation process, faster permitting process. And so if that is a solution, maybe you sold that homeowner a backup scenario, but they didn't really need backup, you could expedite the process by doing a rate saver option. So just know that we have every solution available up to full home backup, 9 batteries for the house if we really need it. So this is kind of, what we love to talk about because we avoid a ton of main service panel upgrades. And the reason is because you actually wire all of your smart energy devices into the inverter. And the inverter is what shares the breaker, the backfeed. If you have an AC coupled solution, that is going to take up a different breaker space for every smart energy device you have. So battery, solar, going to have a separate space for in the main service panel. When we have a DC coupled SolarEdge solution, this allows us to have one inverter, all of the smart energy devices wire into that inverter. So we're able to avoid main panel upgrades as a result. And then my favorite tool, my SolarEdge. So homeowners, keeping them sticky at that consultation, have them download my SolarEdge at that first consultation. Why? Because they can watch the demo sites that are on that app. They can get excited about the interaction with the energy ecosystem. But also, if you have them download on that first consultation, it's going to be even easier to set them up for my SolarEdge once they have their site installed because they're already going to have the app on their phone. So this is something that keeps homeowners sticky. It's a sales tool because you can show them the interaction on my SolarEdge of a demo site, but it also allows you to get ahead of their installation, post-install process. A reminder here too, we have multiple battery modes within my SolarEdge. So homeowners right now are really loving the maximize self-consumption mode, which allows them to pull from the battery. And what I like to say, touch the grid as little as possible. So if they are producing more energy than they're using, it's going to go to that battery instead of the grid. If they're using more energy than they're producing, it's going to pull from the battery before it pulls from the grid. So it allows them to become their whole own power plant. We also have time of use rates for specific regions, backup only for those customers that just need backup. And then if that homeowner is really like, I have a completely different energy habit than anybody else on your modes, they can actually set their own controls. So they can tell the app when they want that battery to discharge. So this is a post-installation feature that allows you to really streamline the follow-up process, and frankly, get some referrals. Because if that homeowner is really associated with My Solar Edge, it allows them to talk to other people about it, and show them their systems. Okay, so quick session today. I really just wanted it to be some heavy hitting tips and reminders. I know that this team probably thinks, yes, I do things in before the consultation, during the consultation, and after, very similar to this. But if you were like me, you run 1,000 miles a minute and try to close all of these deals by the end of the year. And sometimes you need to be reminded to slow down and do these really small focused efforts in order to get every project through that pipeline. So SolarEdge Sales Elite Network, next month, we're going to do a session, which is one of our most popular sessions that we do every single year, which is how to generate leads during the holiday season. And we love doing that one. So excited to see this team there next month. And I hope you have a great rest of October and a great Halloween. And thank you for jumping on today. We'll talk soon.